Hey, Greg Pruitt here with Idaho Dispatch. It is June 23rd, 2020, and I am sitting here today with Representative Christy Zito. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Hi, everybody out there again.
There's a lot of going on down here at the Capitol today. We've got some protesters and some people who are here for a rally today outside. And then a number of legislators were inside the Capitol today. And I guess, can you kind of just explain to people what was the purpose of you coming down here today, and what did you hope to accomplish?
Okay, well, speaking for myself personally, I came down here to represent my people, the people of the state, the people of my district, because what's gone on here is just not right. I mean, arbitrarily, by one person's decision, you're being determined to either be essential or non-essential, and your lives and your businesses are being torn upside down and turned inside out, and even families are going to be torn apart. We're teaching our children that they can't trust anybody. We have this contact tracing thing coming in where someone's going to monitor everywhere you go and everything you do and every person you come in contact with. And I had told the people of our district a couple months ago even, or when we first started to talk about the 23rd being the 90th day, that I would be here to represent their voice. Now, there was a hope that we could get enough legislators to show up, that we would have a quorum, and that we could actually hold a session. I've read 5 different legal opinions. Some say yes, some say no, some say maybe. You can get a legal opinion to say about anything that you want. So that didn't work out. So the legislators that were here, we had a proclamation prepared, and we've all signed it to deliver to the governor. And then we're making it available to those who either couldn't be here or didn't want to be here but have since changed their mind to be able to sign this proclamation, because the legislature is the voice of the people. And by the governor taking the actions that he's taken, this is his baby now. He has full responsibility for what's gone on here, because he is unilaterally making these decisions that are destroying lives. No matter how you look at it, lives and businesses are being destroyed. Behind the door of every small business, just like your brother, there's usually a family, and small business are the backbone of our country. They're the ones who buy 4-H calves and support the Girl Scouts or whatever civic organizations are in your community or in your area. The high school booster clubs, they're here, they're part of us, they're part of our community. And really, they're the ones who support our communities and our states, and they add a lot of money to our economy. But it's not just that, it's the hopes and the dreams and the desires and the constitutional right to own property. This is all being stepped on. So today we were here to make a statement, and with obviously a lot of support from a lot of people around the state that could also be here, that this is not right. And we are calling upon the governor to fix this, to bring us into session, to help us write law so that this doesn't happen again. Or not help us, but, put us in that position where we can.
Yeah, and so I guess, just to be clear to all the people watching and people who read the articles and stuff later, this was not a special session. You guys basically met together as many legislators as would show up. I did notice there was 15 when you actually started the official meeting that you were doing, but there was a number of other legislators who were also kind of in the building and around the building and stuff.
Right.
Did you guys have a chance to talk to them? Are they supportive of? Are they
frustrated as well? They're frustrated as well. They're frustrated as well. There was a lot of pressure from leadership.
Yeah.
I guess there were a lot of phone calls made. I got a call from a senator telling me, that Senate leadership had decided that this was not what they should do. They had sent out a letter that all Senate leadership had signed. House leadership, from what I understand, had made a lot of phone calls. So, people were, I hate to use the word intimidated, but possibly that might be the only word right now I can think of to use. But those who are here, those legislators that are here, even though they weren't on the floor when we met, they are supportive. They are supportive. I've heard of some who even weren't here who are supportive, especially like on the funding situation with all of that COVID relief money.
Yeah.
That's the legislature's job, is to decide where the money goes and how it's spent. That's what we do.
And so what do you say to, I know a number of legislators have spoken out against you guys coming down here and meeting today. So there's some legislators saying what you're doing is unconstitutional and you know, it's not going to hold up in court. So why even bother showing up today? I mean, how do you respond to them?
Well, first of all, I would say, show me in the Constitution where it explicitly said we cannot.
Yeah.
I mean, where does it say that we explicitly cannot meet, that we explicitly cannot call ourselves back into session? Where does it say that? I'll bet that it doesn't. It's interpretation, and the Constitution is broadly written, and so it does leave a broad way for it to be interpreted many different ways. What was the other part of your question? Oh, I know what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, I'll bet that those 3% of the citizens of this country, before we were a country, who took a stand against England and the tyranny that was coming from across the water, I'll bet there were a lot of people that told them they couldn't do what they wanted to do. I bet there were a lot of people, well, we know, history tells us that they were picked on and that they were ostracized and that people told them they shouldn't do this and couldn't do this, but they were brave. And they took a stand. And the people here today were brave. Those 15 legislators that sat in the well on the floor of the House of the Idaho Representatives, they were brave. And they exercised bravery and belief in our country and belief in the Constitution.
Yeah, I did notice that a number of the mainstream media outlets called everyone that showed up today far-right legislators. I mean, how do you respond to the media calling you far-right? I mean, what does that mean?
When you can't stand on principle, when you don't have a decent argument, then you attack personally. If there were anything that they could say or do that would make any sense at all other than to attack us personally, then they would. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously have not either read the Constitution or don't care what it says. So, let them attack, because obviously they don't have anything else.
And so the governor, I don't know that the governor has made an official response to the proclamation yet, and I know you guys will turn that into him at some point. Assuming the governor ignores the proclamation and doesn't call you guys back into an official legislative session, is the plan next session by a lot of legislators to fix this issue and put something out that says, during these types of situations, we have to be able to call ourselves back in? And
absolutely, and people are already working on the language of that. That's going to be the most important thing that we can do, is so that in code, maybe even a constitutional amendment, that when an emergency is declared, there has to be a session called. That there absolutely has to be, because the voice of the individual has to be heard, and that's the only way that's going to happen.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, Representative Zito, is there anything else you would like to say?
Well, I would just like to thank everybody that's here. I would really like to commend those legislators that were brave, that stepped up, that are being called names by the media and other places, and possibly even other legislators. I think we have one legislator that gets a little bit off the chain and starts calling names, calls the lieutenant governor names, and is very unflattering and unkind, and that's uncalled for. I don't think you'll find not one of those 15 people that were in that meeting today that have ever been that way towards any other legislator, no matter what their opinion or what their stand is, and that's just uncalled for. So I'd really like to commend those that are here, that were brave enough to take a stand, and I want to thank all the people that showed up. This is huge. This is really huge to know that the citizens are waking up, that they're being active, that they're ready to participate and ready to make a difference in their state government.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.